We must not be afraid. We must not be afraid to take our faith into the communities. Fear is the absence of faith. Reminds me of a man named Nehemiah. He was living his life, and I'm paraphrasing. He's living his life in the city of Susa, and he's doing a great job. He's got a 401k plan, living large, retirement plan. And finally, at Starbucks, he sees a friend, his brother, according to the Bible, Hananiah comes to him, and Nehemiah, watch this, Nehemiah asked the question that changed the course of his life. How's Jerusalem? And can I tell you something, leaders and pastors? If you're not going to do anything about the answer, then don't ask. Because it changed the trajectory of his life. Once he heard about the walls that were ruined, and they were ruined for over 140 years. Zerubbabel, he built the temple, yet the temple was exposed. Watch this. The temple was exposed. The people were vulnerable. And then Nehemiah felt like he had to do something. That a gap has been presented, because with revelation comes responsibility. Once you have been revealed a problem in your city, in your country, you are moved to act. And here's what he did. I want to give you 4 things that Nehemiah did when he heard about the problems in Jerusalem. Number 1, he prayed. The Bible says that Nehemiah began to fast and pray. God gave him a strong burden. Nehemiah began to weep for his people. He began to cry for the hopelessness. Oh, God, move us to weep for our cities. 1 billion people can't write or read in this world. God, move us to pray for them. 80% of the world population lives on $10 a day. There's a gap, my friends. 1 of 3 people on the planet lack water. There's a gap. And he prayed from Susa for a few months. Prayer is good, but it has to move us to do something. Number 2, the Bible says that he planned. Now, planning is crucial, leaders and pastors. You got to write it down. Planning is part of the process, and many of us here like the final product. What we don't like is the process. Oh, I love the church. Look at this big church. But it took Bill a long time. And headache and prayer and planning. Nehemiah sat down and he planned. I like football, American football. American football, I like that. And you know, they got 11 guys on one side, that's called the offense. The other guys, it's called defense. And the guys on the offense, the coach is on the sideline, and the quarterback gets to play, and he goes in the circle, and that in the NFL is called the huddle. And they get in the huddle, and according to the NFL, you've got 25 seconds to call a play. And if you don't call a play within those 25 seconds, delay of game and penalize. Can you imagine if the NFL, these guards and these tackles like, hey, let's just stay here. Let's talk about what we're going to do after the game. And I wonder how many leaders, how many pastors have been in the huddle for 5 years. When is it? When we see a need and when we see a gap, when is it that we're going to call break and do what God has called us to do and fill the gap to the glory of God? We got to get out of the huddle. Number 3, he proceeded. Now it's time to go from Susa to Jerusalem, 766 miles to Jerusalem. An opportunity. This presents sacrifice. You got to be willing to sacrifice. I remember when I was in DR, Dominican Republic, I was in a little village, and there was a need between the village and a medical center. It was 3 hours distance. These people had to walk to the medical center. And I went back to Chicago, and it was disturbing my heart. And I just kind of sensed the Lord said, hey, Choco, get 2 ambulances. And I was at a press conference with Mayor Daley, and he was standing right next to me, and I was like, ask him. After the press conference, I said to the mayor, Mayor, I need 2 ambulances from your fleet. Walked away. That's how we do it in Chicago. A week later, the mayor's office called me and said, hey, Reverend DeJesus, we've got 2 ambulances for you that we want to donate to you. And then after we got the 2 ambulances with the deeds and the title, then something hit me. Wait a minute. We're going to cross state lines. How is that going to look? Puerto Ricans driving the ambulances. No. I had to go back to the mayor. I said, Mayor, I need a letter that allows me to go through state, just like Nehemiah. Once you have been revealed the problem, you must act to fill that gap to the glory of God. Number 4, the last thing he did is that he persuaded. Whenever you decide to stand in the gap, you're going to face strong opposition. Hear me out, pastors and leaders. The moment you decide to stand in the gap, there will always be opposition. But God is with you. Who can be against you? To the glory of God. One of the things I noticed about this story of Nehemiah is that Nehemiah, he was neither a priest, he wasn't a king, he wasn't a prophet, he was a lay person. And this is a season to release our lay people into the gaps in our cities, into the gaps in our communities, and to engage the problems that we're facing today. I want to tell you here at this leadership summit that the question that Nehemiah asked is relevant today. He asked, how is Jerusalem? That question today, 2014, how is Los Angeles? How is Missouri? How is Hong Kong? How is Georgetown? How is Australia? How is Camden, New Jersey? That question is relevant today. Regardless of where you live, there are gaps everywhere. I leave you with this. Courage is an inner resolution to go forward despite obstacles. Cowardice is submissive surrender to circumstances. Courage breeds creativity. Cowardice represses fear and is mastered by it. Cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Expediency asks us the question, is it political? Vanity asks the question, is it popular? But conscience asks the question, is it right? And there comes a time when we must take a position that's neither safe, nor political, nor popular. But one must take it because it's right. God bless you.